To most people, this might look like a crappy old garage, but to me, it looks like the ultimate bladesmithing workshop. This all started when I gave my friend Leo here a phone call asking if I could use his heat treat oven, which I propped my phone up on here. Now, when I called him, he told me that he was actually going to have to sell all this equipment that he spent the past 5 years building up because he took a job traveling the country and there's no way to bring all this stuff with him. But thankfully, we found a workaround. As it stands now, this garage does not have enough power. So I've got to figure out how to get a trench 26 inches deep and about 60 feet long. So I just called one of my friends. He's got an excavating business. And it turns out that he doesn't need to use a trencher he has on rent for literally just this afternoon. So I can go get this trench dug, and have it ready for the electricians who are coming in on Monday. And that workaround was to put all of his tooling in my shop, which is pretty crazy. Now, this stuff isn't mine to keep forever, and I definitely just see myself as a steward of it, but I'm really glad that it worked out, and Leo was too. And just like it worked out to put all these tools in my little backyard garage, it worked out to get this trench dug almost just the same. When I found out from the electrician how deep of a trench I'd need to dig, 60 feet from the house to the shop, I was pretty intimidated. Of course, I said, yeah, no problem. I can have that done by Monday. It was Thursday, so the following Monday, but I had no clue how I'd do it. Well, I gave another friend of mine a call, and he just so happened to have a trencher on rent that was not able to be used for the job they rented it for because of the rain. I guess his guys just didn't want to work in the rain or something, because it worked just fine for me. Now, the utilities guy did come out and give the all clear, but I ended up uncovering what looks like an old gas line. Thankfully, utilities just came and confirmed that this is not an active gas line. It's an old one, so they drilled into it, nothing coming out. That also explains why the trencher didn't just rip right through it, because this is a steel pipe, and they don't use steel anymore, they use rubber. There it is. There's a little hole they drilled. Whew. That's a huge relief. I'm so glad I didn't almost destroy a gigantic gas line. That would have sucked. Now that the trench is dug, the electricians can come out. That's the old work, kind of sketchy. And give this shop some proper power. Digging holes, or trenches in this case, is a tremendous amount of work, even with that trenching tool. It took a lot longer than I thought it was gonna, but hole has been dug. Electrician is here getting power to the garage. So that's amazing. So here's the new box pulled in. This is what's right outside down in the trench right there. Put a new line in, another line. I was originally thinking that the power hammer would stay right here by the open door, but this is where the forge is going to go, because that is like a vent, like a chimney. So naturally, it makes a lot of sense for the forge to go right there, and then build some venting, put a fan there, it pulls everything out. And then the reason that all this rewire was necessary was for this guy right here. The even heat kiln requires 220, 20 amps. And that is now right here. So all the hot tools will go in this corner right here. So I'm wondering if maybe the power hammer now needs to go somewhere over here instead of over there by the door. More picturesque over there. But the thing is, I'd have to run from the forge to the hammer. Before I get any layout work done, I've got to clean this garage up. As you can see behind me, I got a bunch of crap in here. Now, just like any garage in the world, this one is no exception to the fact that it somehow just fills up with junk. I think that's kind of just the curse of suburban garages. They seem to just be the catch-all for everybody's stuff. You might be thinking, what the heck are you wearing on your feet, moving all this heavy equipment? The answer is, knockoff Birkenstocks. Now, just as crazy as it was to get a shop with the literal perfect bladesmithing setup practically overnight, the real crazy part is that we rent this house, and my landlord's not only okay with me setting up a bladesmithing shop out here, but he's even helping me out. It's been pretty cool to see all of these things come together. And as much as I don't understand it, I'm really thankful for it. I just see this as the Lord providing something really cool, giving me a gift to be able to do this craft at my home, which not a lot of people have. I don't know if you can tell on camera, but it is insanely dusty in this shop. Figuring out the dust is just the first of many problems I'm going to have to figure out how to solve through this project. And all at the same time, I've got orders I've got to figure out how to fulfill. Sold the fridge. That's a good feeling. Apparently, refrigerators are like the most popular appliance you can post to Facebook Marketplace. I didn't know that. I had like a bidding war. That was fun. So the plan is to tear down half of this old shelving, put it along this wall back over here. So this shelving right here, the wood's actually in good shape, and I'm just going to beat the crap out of it anyways. So I'm going to take, I don't need it this tall. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take from here off, put it over there. Okay, as I'm explaining this, I realize I have no idea what to do. Now, I've got a vague idea of what I need to do, but I figured I'd just start to take action and hope that it comes to me along the way. First thing is just to get these appliances moved out of the way so that I can start to cut some of this wood off the shelves. I definitely want to reuse as much of it as I can because wood is pretty expensive. Okay, so I think what I'm going to do is chop the top of this off and move the whole, move half of this over there, set the grinders up on it. Before this unexpected addition of Leo's tools, I had one 2x48 grinder and a makerspace shop that I'd go and do the hot work at. So this is quite the upgrade, and there's an existing, just like these existing shelves, there's an existing workbench in this little garage that I'd set my 2x48 up on, but honestly it wasn't ideal. It was a little bit too tall. So I think these shelves are going to end up being the perfect solution even if I didn't get these tools. Now I honestly just want to try to reuse as much of this material as I can, so I'm trying to take these pieces of wood out and keep the nails as straight as possible. Before this, I didn't genuinely know that there was such things as masonry nails that you could just nail straight into a cinder block. So this board is full of them, and I'm going to try to reuse them on the other side of the garage. Getting there. I've always dreamed of having a station of grinders. So this little table will be the very first version of that I've ever had, and as far as having my own shop goes. My basic plan is to get both grinders set up on here and try to really use them for a single purpose. And I don't exactly know what that purpose will be. And honestly, don't even know if that's exactly how it's going to play out. But I've seen other smiths do that, and I've always thought it was a good idea. And what I mean by that is basically one grinder you do all your bevel grinding on, and the other you always have a
that's where we're going to end the video for today.
So I guess I'll find out what makes the most sense.
Grinders put on,
end up doing that.
Power to the shop. Next week's video going to be moving the hammer.
As sketchy as this might look, it actually is turning out pretty sturdy.
Yeah.
And this is some old wood, and it seems to be pretty decent quality. So I'm not upset at all. For reusing all the stuff that was already here, this is going to work out pretty great. And with the table being nailed into the cinder blocks, it's pretty sturdy. Now this was the first hiccup. This bigger 2x72 grinder just tripped that circuit every time I turned it on. So took an extension cord and ran over to one of the old plugs that was here before all the new work, and it worked great. So I was pretty happy about that. I was worried for a second that all this work and I wouldn't be able to use the grinders after all. But with that solution, it'll be not quite as convenient, but it is a solution. I have the first part of this massive project done, which is getting the grinding station set up. So this 2x48 right there, that's what I had before. Now I've got this 2x72 to use. Sweet little giant power hammer that's been updated, upgraded. It's amazing. Runs on 110. Got a 110 right there. Super cool. Over here in the hot corner, it's buried under belts, but an even heat, which is going to go right over there. And the forge, which is going to go right here, right underneath the vent. So very cool setup.
Well, that's where we're going to end the video for today. Next week's video, going to be moving the hammer across, setting up the hot workstation. Yeah.